Now, as a rule, most heroes are reactionists. They wait for the bad guy to do something and then they go to work. Most villains, on the other hand, are motivated purely by self-interest and greed, but a select few have had higher aspirations towards total world domination, and an even smaller number, like the Joker, simply want to spread chaos to watch the world burn. So let's take a look at these big picture thinkers. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 big picture manipulators in comics. Number 10. Dr. Doom. Victor Von Doom was the king of Latveria and one of the most brilliant minds on the planet. He had long hoped to make the world a better place through conquest and has been at the heart of nearly every major event in the history of the Marvel Universe. The only things that caused him to consistently fail are his crippling arrogance, his gargantuan ego, and his obsession with Reed Richards. After becoming Doom, he plagued the newly formed Fantastic Four to prove his superiority over Richards. He battled the team alone or with the likes of Namor or the Terrible Trio, and in locales such as Subatomica or the Edge of the Atmosphere, and he usually met defeat at every turn, usually due to his own arrogance. Doom even forced a group of villains to attack the wedding of Reed and Sue, but these rogues were repelled by the other heroes like the Avengers. Dr. Doom has had several instances of achieving his dream of winning everything, but it slipped through his grasp. In the Secret Wars, he stole the powers of the Beyonder, but the powers were so vast that they crippled him with their sheer scope, and he ended up losing them. Doom used the powers of the Beyonder and the Molecule Man to reshape reality after the multiverse fell, but he grew bored of the utopia he created, and Reed Richards eventually returned reality to its proper place. Number 9. Amanda Waller. Having lost her 2 eldest children and her husband to gun violence, Amanda Waller made the choice that she would never ever lose again. She got her final 3 children through school and put herself through school as well, gaining a degree in political science. She then took over the campaign of Democratic Congregational hopeful Marvin Collins and got him elected. And while looking through the bills, she discovered the old OSS organization called Task Force X. When the monster Brimstone threatened Mount Rushmore, Waller recruited Rick Flag and a team of villains as a new Suicide Squad. With their success, the president authorized the group to continue under Amanda's control. Waller set up the new team in Louisiana, and she argued against sending the squad on purely political missions and especially stupid ones. She came to blows with NSC liaison Derek Tolliver for sending the squad on a disastrous mission to Moscow, saying that even though they were expendable, they weren't garbage. Amanda Waller's inability to compromise with people, coupled with the recent public outing of the Suicide Squad and Checkmate, caused Waller to be put on trial for the death of a leader of an organized drug cartel. She was later pardoned after a year and reorganized the team as an independent group. She became part of Lex Luthor's cabinet as the Secretary of Meta-Human Affairs and later as the White Queen of Checkmate. Number 8. Kang the Conqueror. The man who would be Kang, Nathaniel Richards, was born in the 30th century on Earth 6311, a world that never suffered a dark age. His counterpart from Earth 616 brought peace to this war-torn world. At age 16, the Richards of this reality attempted to derail his eventual history as Kang and traveled to 616 from the Young Avengers. He would then begin his eventual role that would define his entire life, that of a conqueror. Richards traveled back to ancient Egypt of Earth 616 and assumed the guise of Pharaoh Ramotut. He ruled there until he was ousted by the time-traveling Fantastic Four. He attempted to return to his own time, but a time storm dropped him into the current era of 616, where he tried once again to return to his own 30th century, but overshot by 10 centuries. In the war-torn 40th century, Richards took up the name of Kang and conquered first the Earth and then other planets. He continued to reach back into time and spread his influence to the modern era. Kang and Immortus became regular foes of the Avengers as he attempted various times to conquer various time periods. Immortus and the Scarlet Centurion often ran afoul of the Fantastic Four, and various incarnations of Nathaniel Richards from different Earths and/or different time periods would come into conflict with each other when their goals did not align. Number 7. Anti-Monitor. When scientist Kroner used his science to look at the creation of the universe, he caused an explosion that created a positive matter multiverse and an equal negative matter universe. It also gave birth to the immensely powerful beings called the Monitor and the Anti-Monitor. When he later discovered his positive universe brother, he began a million-year war against him that culminated in the pair losing consciousness. 9 billion years later, scientist Kel Mosser undertook the same forbidden experiment to witness creation, which resulted in another explosion that awoke the Anti-Monitor, who then began his singular quest to destroy the multiverse. Countless universes were destroyed by the Anti-Monitor's energy wave. The Monitor set up towers on Earths 1, 2, 4, S, and X, and his death at the hands of his assistant Harbinger powered them to save the final 5 Earths from destruction. Thanks to Alexander Luthor and the heroes of the 5 universes, the worlds were reborn at the dawn of time as a single universe. Earth 2 Superman pummeled the Anti-Monitor into atoms before departing this universe. With the recreation of the multiverse, the Anti-Monitor Monitor returned and became part of Sinestro's Yellow Lantern Corps. He traveled to Earth and used his power to siphon positive energy, but was attacked by the Green Lantern Corps. Then Superboy Prime turned against him, badly damaging his armor and hurtling him into space, where he crashed on the planet Ryut in Sector 666 and was imprisoned in the Black Lantern Battery. Number 6. The High Evolutionary. Herbert Wyndham was a student in the late 1920s and was inspired by the work of geneticist Nathaniel Essex, the man who would become Mr. Sinister. Given the secrets of unlocking genetic codes by a disguised inhuman, Wyndham and fellow scientist Jonathan Drew set up a base on Wundagore Mountain to continue their work, where Wyndham realized his dream of evolving animals into humanoid forms to become his new men. He created a powerful suit of armor to protect himself and took on the name of the High Evolutionary. Wyndham's genetic influence did not stop with the new men. Jonathan Drew's daughter had been treated with spider serums and Wyndham's technologies, and so emerged as a brand new Spider-Woman. A woman named Magda gave birth to twins on the mountain, and they were touched as well by the demonic energies of the new men's recent fight with Chthon, and they grew up to be the mutants Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Wyndham created an exact copy of the Earth on the opposite side of the sun, which was meant to be free of evil, that he called Counter-Earth, and attempts to take it from him occurred almost immediately. First, it was nearly consumed by Galactus, and later by the Prime Movers on behalf of the Beyonders. Realizing how incalculably advanced the Beyonders were, he fell into despair and de-evolved himself into protoplasmic goo. Number 5. Vandal Savage. Vandal Savage has been alive for over 50,000 years and has literally seen the evolution of the human race. He's been an advisor to kings, to warlords, to chieftains, and had been in thousands of conflicts throughout the centuries, as well as manipulating the world towards his own image. Vandal has even claimed to have been famous historical conquerors such as Julius Caesar, Genghis Khan, and Vlad the Impaler, but Savage is far from an unimpeachable source. This rogue stepped from behind the curtain to directly engage the mystery men that emerged in the late 1940s. Either he saw them as an obstacle to his centuries-long plan of world domination, or he was simply curious to test himself against these new, stronger and worthier opponents. Either way, Savage became a frequent problem for the Justice Society of America and later the Justice League. Vandal has had hundreds of offspring and even more descendants throughout history. He maintains his immortality in part by replacing failing body parts by taking them from his descendants. Most of his children do not know of their heritage, but one, Scandal Savage, is a villain in her own right and the leader of the Secret Six. Her complicated feelings about her father often bring them into conflict. Number 4. Apocalypse. En-Sabah-Nur was born more than 5,000 years ago in the Valley of Kings in Egypt. As Nur grew, he adopted the tribe's primary principle that only the strongest, best, fittest, toughest, and worthiest should survive, and hardened his heart to the world, and even his own tribesmen hated him for his appearance, intellect, and strength. He lived as a slave for a time until his mutant powers of immortality and shapeshifting emerged, and so he took on the name of Apocalypse. Soon after gaining his power, he forged his own clan and gathered the best human warriors in the world as Riders of the Dark. With these two armies, he transformed Egypt into a utopia for a time, but at some unknown point in the past, he traveled to the scientist island of Okara and took a wife who gave him 2 sons and 2 daughters, who became his first horsemen. Apocalypse battled Thor multiple times in the 11th century, losing his 4th set of horsemen to the Thunder God. In 1459, Nur personally beat Vlad the Impaler in single combat, which led him to directly becoming Dracula. In modern times, Apocalypse plagued the mutant community and turned the maimed angel into the blue-skinned and metal-winged Archangel. However, when the new mutant nation of Krakoa was established, Nur was actually welcomed, as were all mutants. He was given a position on the Quiet Council, but later left after he was contacted by the grandchildren of his first horsemen on their own sentient island, now called Araco. Number 3. Darkseid. Uxas, the god of tyranny known as Darkseid, began making plans at a very young age to take the throne of Apocalypse, pushing past his peaceful brother Drax and mother Hegra. He interrupted Drax's connection to the Omega realm and achieved the godhood that was meant for him. Thus transformed, he took the name Darkseid. Darkseid started a long war with neighboring New Genesis, in part to eliminate the potential threat and to keep his uncle Steppenwolf occupied. He put the brutal and loyal hunger dog named Goodness in charge of the orphanages to produce obedient soldiers who would give their lives for Darkseid. When Darkseid encountered the Green Martians, he learned in their belief in the will as an all-powerful force that they called the life equation. He surmised that there must be an equally powerful force called the anti-life equation, and it became the focus of his existence. Darkseid believed that the people of Earth had fragments of the anti-life equations locked within their brains, and he made elaborate plans and schemes that brought him into conflict with Earth's heroes, especially Superman. Darkseid actually took over the Earth on a few occasions, but was ultimately thwarted each time and has yet to achieve his Luther's ultimate goal. Number 2. Thanos. For most of his life, Thanos has had a single goal: winning the love of the personification of death. She was his confidant as a small boy to help him get over his fear of killing. Later, he began pursuing her, even though the realization that she was actually death drove the young Titan mad. It did not dissuade him from decimating his home planet and begin moving the pieces in place so that he could achieve universal power. First, Thanos misused the cosmic cube on Earth, but had to relinquish that power and be saved by his ship. Later, he gathered all of the Soul Gems, aka the Infinity Stones, having taken the stones from the 6 Elders of the universe and assembled them on a golden gauntlet. Using that gauntlet, Thanos killed half the beings in the universe in an attempt to impress Death and earn her love. The remaining heroes of Earth and Adam Warlock were able to reverse this action. Despite his megalomania and homicidal nature, Thanos wasn't actually without reason. In fact, he would even aid others against threats that were greater than himself. He helped Adam Warlock against the Magus, worked with the Guardians of the Galaxy to halt the invasion of the Cancerverse, and worked with Deadpool to release Death from Eternity's prison. All of these things benefited Thanos personally, but also ended up benefiting others as well. And number 1, Lex Luthor. There is probably no more purely manipulative person in the DC universe than Alexander Lex Luthor. From a very young age, and despite his dirt-poor upbringing, he began to judge people by what use they were to him. Luthor arranged to have his parents killed in an auto accident in order to collect the hefty insurance policy that they had, and with that money, he created LexCorp. Lex has long seen Metropolis as his own personal fiefdom, having bought, taken over, or built nearly every business in the city. Nearly every person in the town owed their livelihood to Lex, and he made sure that they knew it. He owned every media outlet in town except the Daily Planet, and used that power to shape the image of a benevolent philanthropist. This all came crashing down with the arrival of Superman. A deliberate attack on the Man of Steel led Luthor to be jailed for the first time, and this humiliation was simply more than Lex could abide. Lex Luthor is one of the most brilliant people on the planet, and he uses his intellect as both a superpower and a weapon. It has made him an insanely wealthy man, given him the ability to design and create any weapon or machine virtually any situation might call for, and has given him the leadership skills to head several villain teams at once and achieve the office of President of the United States. Not bad, right? Well, technically it's all bad, but you know what I mean. And there we go, my friends. Those were 10 big picture manipulators in comics. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. As always, I've been Jules, and you can go follow me over on Instagram at RetroJ, but the O is a 0. Hope to see you over there. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.